Unfortunately, elaborate scams can truly happen to everyone, and not even K-pop idols are above such a thing, as some have admitted to going through some truly horrible times due to being blindsided. Apink's Charong recently shared that both she and fellow member Bomi were victims of an investment scam that cost them a significant amount of money. Appearing on a variety show alongside Tak Jae-hoon, the topic of Apink's early member lineup came up, and while the discussion began lightheartedly, it quickly shifted when Charong was asked if she had recently been scammed. Laughing a little, she actually admitted that both she and Bomi had unknowingly invested in a fake fund. She explained that at the time, the two had been exploring ways to grow their savings and had started looking into investments, and according to Charong, Bomi was the one who first heard about the fund and thought it seemed like a smart opportunity. And while things seemed fine at first, she then realized that her interest payments had stopped coming in and said, "Turns out I had invested in a fake fund and the person had already moved overseas." Hearing this, Tak Jae-hoon even joked about whether Bomi might be the next member to leave the group, but Charong clarified that she didn't blame her at all, saying, "From the start, Bomi told me that I didn't need to invest and that she wasn't pressuring me to do it. But that made me trust the fund even more." And while she's not chasing Bomi out of the group, Charong did add that she's definitely never taking financial advice from any of the members, no matter how promising it sounds, and would also stay away from investments altogether. Not long ago, another K-pop idol revealed that he too had fallen victim to scams, not just once, but 10 separate times. Infinite's Jong Dongwoo confessed during a show appearance that his trusting nature has often worked against him, and when the host asked if there was something fans often told him to stop doing, he revealed that they often had a problem with his trusting nature, saying, "They also tell me not to trust people so easily. I was swindled about 10 times, 7 times by a car scam and 3 times by a business scams." He then detailed one of the more elaborate scams, explaining how convincing the fraudster had been, as they even had an employee ID and had asked him to come to the dealership in person and had him do a test drive. "I even received a safe driving record sheet or something like that, and when everything was set, I sent them about 2 bills as a down payment." He then revealed that he had sent them 2 bills and immediately stopped hearing back from them and learned the hard way that the entire deal was fake. In fact, even the acquaintance who had introduced him to the seller didn't actually know them, and when he called the dealership to confirm, he was told that they didn't know anyone with his name. When asked if he reported the incident, Dongwoo said he tried, but was told that catching the scammer would be nearly impossible and that lawyers even advised that the legal fees might end up being higher than the amount he lost. However, while he previously admitted to being scammed around 10 times throughout his career, it wasn't until his recent appearance on I'm Grown Up, But I'm Not Going Out that fans learned just how devastating the losses really were. During the show, which focuses on adults who continue to live at home, Dongwoo's mother mentioned that her son had repeatedly been taken advantage of financially. When pressed about it, Dongwoo revealed that over the past decade, he had been scammed out of roughly 700 million Korean won, more than 500,000 US dollars. The shocking amount explained why the idol still lives with his mother, something that could have easily been mistaken as a lifestyle choice. Dongwoo's experiences have since become well known among fans, who often joke about how trusting and kind-hearted he is, traits that unfortunately make him more vulnerable to manipulation. But despite the repeated scams, he hasn't let the experiences harden him, though fans now urge him to be much more careful. In fact, his reputation for being overly trusting has earned him a somewhat bittersweet title among fans, as he once ranked second on a list of idols who have been scammed the most. And over the years, fans have also tried to encourage Dongwoo to be more cautious, even joking that he needs a financial guardian. Former Crayon Pop member Wei also found herself the victim of a very different but equally painful scam, one tied to South Korea's complex housing system. In a YouTube video posted to her Wayland channel, she shared that she had been caught in what's known as a jeonse scam. Jeonse is a common rental system in Korea where tenants pay a large deposit instead of monthly rent, and the landlord returns it at the end of the lease. But in recent years, countless landlords have taken the deposits and disappeared, leaving tenants with nothing. Wei then admitted that she thinks she was scammed in this exact manner, saying, "I haven't received my money, so it's commonly known as a jeonse scam." She explained that while she had insurance through the Housing and Urban Guarantee Corporation, the process of reclaiming her money was long and exhausting, as you have to prepare many documents, and even then, you have to wait more than 2 months without receiving money from the landlord before you can say you are allowed to say that you haven't received the money yet. Unfortunately, it seems like the situation had left her unable to move out, with loan interest accumulating in the meantime, as she also admitted that since she can't contact her landlord, she has had to go to court and file papers. But even with everything she was able to do, the situation is still incredibly complicated. Her story struck a special chord with viewers, as jeonse fraud has become a nationwide issue in South Korea, and the number of victims has surged dramatically in recent years, even prompting government investigations. Therefore, many have empathized with Wei's situation petition expressing frustration at how little protection tenants have against predatory landlords. Meanwhile, celebrity scams took another shocking turn when it was revealed that comedian Lee Jin-ho had scammed several public figures, including none other than BTS's Jimin. According to reports, Jimin had lent Lee Jin-ho 100 million Korean won, or around $74,000 back in 2022, only to never see the money again. When the story broke, Big Hit Music confirmed the news to News One, stating, "Jimin indeed suffered financial damage. All he did was write a promissory note and lent it to Lee Jin-ho." The revelation sent shockwaves through the Korean entertainment industry, especially as Jimin had never brought it up himself. Many were stunned to learn that a comedian with an established reputation had taken advantage of his peers. However, it later came to light that Lee Jin-ho had been struggling with a gambling addiction, which reportedly drove him to borrow large sums of money under false pretenses. Netizens were especially sympathetic toward Jimin, not only because of the money involved, but also because of the emotional betrayal. As one netizen said, "Aside from the money, the hurt must be huge." Others also questioned just how close the two had been, with some saddened by the fact that Jimin's natural kindness had made him an easy target. But one of the most disturbing and emotionally harrowing fraud scandals in Korean entertainment history must be Lee Min-woo's case, especially because of the deep personal betrayal that came with it. The Shinhwa member, a first-generation idol who helped lay the groundwork for K-pop's global rise, found himself deceived and manipulated by someone he had trusted for over 2 decades. The incident began in 2019, a period already marked by turmoil for Min-woo as he was facing some grave allegations involving 2 women in their 20s, a charge that drew intense media attention and public scrutiny. During this time, a longtime friend, identified only as Mr. B, approached him with what appeared to be a lifeline. Mr. B, who was a television producer, claimed he had close connections within the prosecutor's office and could use those ties to ensure Min-woo's name was cleared in exchange for a price. Desperate to protect both his reputation and Shinhwa's legacy, Min-woo believed him as he handed over 1.6 billion Korean won, around $1.2 million to fund those supposed bribes that would guarantee a not guilty verdict. However, as it turns out, every word from Mr. B was a lie. Prosecutors later confirmed that the producer had no such connections and that the entire operation was an elaborate scheme to steal money from Min-woo under the guise of helping him out. The betrayal didn't stop there either, as even after Min-woo was officially acquitted of the allegations against him based on supposed evidence, Mr. B returned with a new story, claiming that prosecutors plan to appeal the verdict unless Min-woo paid an additional 1 billion won, or $740,000, to settle the case for good. Trusting the man he considered a close friend, Min-woo complied again, bringing the total amount lost to 2.6 billion won, or nearly $1.9 million. When the truth finally came to light, Min-woo filed charges against Mr. B, initiating one of the most widely covered celebrity fraud trials in Korea. But despite the overwhelming evidence, Mr. B denied all accusations and showed no remorse in court for what he had done to his supposed friend. Seeing this, the Seoul Southern District Court sentenced him to 9 years in prison and ordered that he repay the full amount, but even then Mr. B appealed, maintaining his innocence. For Min-woo, the damage went far beyond the financial loss, as he described how it felt like psychological torment, explaining that Mr. B had effectively taken control of his mind and commanded him to do everything he wanted, even take out bank loans and hand over his savings. At one point, the emotional weight actually became so unbearable that Min-woo confessed that he had gone to the Han River intending to end his suffering. Fortunately, he admitted that he came to his senses before it was too late, but that the experience left him with severe post-traumatic stress, insomnia, stuttering, and panic attacks. What ultimately saved him, he said, was the unwavering support of his family, his fellow Shinhwa members, and close friends in the industry, as their encouragement allowed him to confront the trauma and slowly rebuild his life. Now at 46 years old, Min-woo has reportedly regained stability in his life and even plans to return to the entertainment industry through new projects, though the scars of what happened will likely never fade completely. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more insight into some of K-pop's most candid moments, and don't forget to let us know what you think in the comments down below. Unfortunately, losing money was just the beginning, as some scams nearly destroyed entire careers. No matter how rich or famous they are, there were times that K-pop idols were also victims of scams. Whether it was from a company or people close to them, these are the biggest scams idols experience that nearly ruined their careers. Jessie's 2022 tour. In September of this year, Jessie unveiled the dates of her European tour, which would take place in 5 cities. The tour started on October 8th in Berlin, before she was set to continue in London, Paris, Oberhausen, and wrapping up in Barcelona. But the tour didn't go as smoothly as Jessie probably expected, as the issue started very early on. For the Parisian branch of the tour, fans had complained about the ticket prices since the standard admission ticket cost 55 euros and a VVIP one cost 259 euros. If you want a comparison about the price of the tickets, when Day 6 played in the same venue back in 2018, the standard admission ticket cost 65 euros while the VVIP ticket was 160 euros. Then when the organizers realized that the pit that was reserved for gold, VIP, and VVIP tickets wasn't going to be full, they started selling tickets with pit access only 2 weeks before the show took place. Fans thankfully blamed the staff and not Jessie herself for the price of the tickets. A comment under the post on Instagram, which was used to announce the tour, said, "That's the result of pricing too detached from reality. That's sad, because Jessie doesn't deserve an empty pit. Staff have to organize better next time." The problems unfortunately didn't stop there and only got more serious. On October 11th, Jessie posted on her Instagram story and said, "Stuck in London, paying my own way to get to Paris to see my fans. Only if y'all knew what I'm going through." She then posted a second story and wrote, "I have to perform tomorrow, and this man keeps stranding me outside." Obviously, fans were worried about her. According to them, Jessie arrived late at the venue because of the situation when soundcheck was supposed to start an hour and a half earlier. Understandably so, Jessie was seemingly very exhausted when she appeared at the venue, and some fans even said that they saw her cry. Despite everything, she went up on stage, taking several minutes to explain the situation she was brought to by a man that she called a mother. The man in question was her tour manager, Tim Geem, who was called a con artist by fans and who faced backlash for all the things that he put Jessie through. To make things worse, all the merch that was sold at Jessie's shows in Europe wasn't even her official merch, which means that the promoter took all the sales money instead of her. To their credit, the promoter offered refunds to all the fans for the problems, but it's so frustrating that Jessie had to go through all of that just to see her fans. Blackpink's Lisa versus ex-manager. In June 2020, an ex-manager of Blackpink swindled Lisa out of nearly 1 billion won. According to reports, the manager had had a really close relationship with the members ever since Blackpink debuted in 2016, especially with Lisa. He also had gained a positive reputation in the company and with the members during the years in which he had worked for YG Entertainment. Lisa especially was very close to him during her rookie years. Manager A was given the 1 billion won by Lisa, money which she had asked him to invest in real estate in her name. He took advantage of his close relationship with her and spent all her money on gambling. YG Entertainment then released a statement saying that Lisa wishes to settle this peacefully since the manager was someone she had trusted. They went on, "Manager A has reimbursed a part of the sum and has left the company after agreeing on a reimbursement plan for the rest of the sum." Lisa was pretty affected by the whole ordeal, especially considering the close relationship between the two. A source revealed, "Because Lisa is a foreign member and has been in Korea by herself since she was young, she is very vulnerable to these things. It is very unfortunate that these things happen in the industry." The manager left YG Entertainment after the report was made. EXID's Vietnam show. In the beginning, crowd pop was considered a good idea for K-pop fans and artists alike. For those of you who don't know, crowd pop is a crowdfunding platform in which the fans can vote on who to perform and where to perform. When the social voting goal and the campaign ticket sales goal is reached, fans can get their favorite groups and artists to perform in their city. So this was in theory a great and easy way to get artists to perform in countries that they had never been to without too many risks. Then it all went downhill. After over 5,000 Vietnamese fans voted to bring EXID to their country, crowd pop announced that the group would be holding a concert in Ho Chi Minh City on December 10th, 2016. The issue started popping up before the concert even took place. Crowd pop failed to communicate with EXID's Vietnamese fandom. The venue was also silently announced through a website which sold Ponds products, which was a co-sponsor of the event. The venue in question was a downtrodden soccer field, which was not a safe or appropriate place to accommodate over 1,000 fans that were expected to attend. Banana Culture, EXID's company, tried to take care of the situation by stating, "We spoke strongly to the concert organizers and are currently trying to come up with a new solution, since this is EXID's first visit to Vietnam and we hope the event to go well." Crowd pop seemed to have problems coming up with a solution, so they completely erased any mention of the venue from the internet and announced that a famous director would turn a bad venue into an amazing show, promising the announcement of the new venue on November 18th. The plot got deeper though. An insider stepped forward to reveal that Crowd Pop CEO Richard Chu had employed his wife Yeti O in his company. After complaints from the Crowd Pop Vietnam employees who were asking for the CEO to take responsibility for the mess, Yeti revealed, "I am aware of the situation that is going on. We do not have the money to cover for the show." Banana Culture also took action to change the agency organizing the concert and to postpone it entirely to December 14th so they could have enough time for preparation. BTS's Highlight Tour. When BTS were holding the Highlight Tour, organized by TGM Events, they were supposed to have 4 stops in the United States, with the tickets going on sale on May 24th, 2015. The supposed tickets came in the form of t-shirts that were sold on Ticktail, an online retailer similar to Etsy. When you bought the shirt, the buyer would receive an email invitation which they could use to RSVP to the event, and it would grant them entry to the event in a high touch with the idols. This was the first red flag of a poorly organized event. The Atlanta show was oversold, which meant that hundreds of fans were kicked out of the venue. They were promised to get meetups with the BTS members after the show, but after waiting in the rain for a few hours, they didn't get to meet them. The VIP tickets, which were pricier than the normal ones, didn't even get to enjoy the royalties, as the non-VIP ticket holders get access to VIP-only events such as the autograph session. BTS even had to sign on blank pieces of paper in Houston as they ran out of posters. The only show that went smoothly and without problems was in Toronto, and that's because no TGM event staff showed up to the event. These are just a fraction of the things that went wrong on the tour, but the worst part of it all was that none of the fans that were denied entrance and were kicked out got refunded by the event organizers, even though they were promised that they would be. Eric Nam's postponed tour. Eric Nam's tour also suffered from TGM events mismanagement. He was to have 5 shows in the United States in 2015 as part of his tour. The tickets for the show were sold on different websites depending on where the show was taking place. VIP and VVIP tickets were all sold on Ticktail. The tour got postponed initially because of the bad weather, since the organization was worried that the tour wouldn't be able to go well due to the connecting flights. However, a few problems appeared because the payments for the tickets went directly to TGM Events CEO PayPal account, even though WME Radio was taking care of everything else. The refunding of the tickets also turned into an issue, as Ticketmaster and Ticketfly allowed full refunds, but Ticktail had a more difficult process to get refunded. Even though WME Radio promised to make arrangements so fans could be refunded, this was not in their hands. In the end, none of the fans got refunds for a tour that is still to this day postponed, with TDM Events going as far as to delete the page dedicated to Eric's tour. The cherry on top came when it was reported that Nadia Leong, TDM Events CEO, took the thousands of dollars from the VIP and VVIP tickets and tickets for the Dallas tour sales and went into hiding. Sondambi had the same situation as Lisa, though you can argue whether it's better or worse in comparison. When an episode of Ask Us Anything aired in 2018, Sondambi shared a story about her former manager. She revealed that during the time she was promoting her hit song Crazy, her manager at the time broke inside her house and stole all of her possessions. So when she went back from a promotional event, her home was completely empty. Dambi said that she had given the manager the password to her home, so when he knew that she would be away, he called a house moving center and stole everything in her home. She went on, "My bed, television, tables, etc. Without leaving an item, he stole everything. What's even more shameful is that he even stole my undergarments." The cast members were obviously shocked, so Dambi explained that the manager had been in debt because of his gambling addiction. Thankfully, they caught him, but since Dambi couldn't find all of her possessions, she had to buy new ones. But what happens when the tables turn and the idols themselves become part of the deception? K-pop idols are supposed to create beautiful and unforgettable moments with their fans, but some took a completely different route and instead scammed those who support them. One of the most notable cases revolves around Kang Sung-hoon, a member of the legendary boy group Zexkeys, who has been accused of fraud several times. In 2013, he was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison, later turned into 1 year and 6 months in prison and 2 years of probation for stealing money from his friends. He faced similar accusations again over the next few years, but then things got even worse. In 2018, Sung-hoon was scheduled to have a fan meeting in Taiwan, organized together with his local fan club Hoonie World. However, the event was suddenly canceled, and fans who bought tickets didn't get refunded properly. Angry fans demanded to get their money back, while Sung-hoon accused the local organizers in Taiwan of lying and causing the event to get canceled. Meanwhile, many speculated that Sung-hoon and the leaders of Hoonie World worked together to steal money from fans. Following this incident, another controversy arose a few weeks later when around 70 fans filed a complaint against Sung-hoon and Hoonie World, accusing them of embezzling the profits made after a video screening session held in April 2017. According to the accusers, the profits from the ticket sales, which amounted to around $88,000, were supposed to go to charity but were instead embezzled by Sung-hoon and Hoonie World. Both cases went to court, and in the end the charges against Sung-hoon in the embezzlement case were dropped only because of a lack of evidence. Meanwhile, he won the case regarding the cancellation of his fan meeting, as the court argued that it was the local organizers' fault. Despite this, these controversies led Sung-hoon to officially leave Zexkeys in 2019, and people struggle to trust him to this day. While Sung-hoon is a well-known name, even idol trainees have sometimes been caught deceiving fans. Cho Kyu-min, also known as Peter, is a former Produce 101 Season 2 contestant who has often come under fire for his behavior. The controversy recently surfaced when he appeared on a TV show dressed up as G-Dragon with almost identical clothes and even the same haircut. This already raised a lot of eyebrows, but things got worse when netizens soon uncovered more footage of Kyu-min seemingly impersonating G-Dragon over the years. The first time he was accused of doing this was 10 years ago, show, but despite this, he continued to appear on TV while looking almost identical to G-Dragon. Kyu-min's appearance has often deceived fans, and in some cases, crowds of people who thought he was G-Dragon surrounded him on the street. However, instead of making his identity clear, he played into this, copying G-Dragon's mannerisms to make people believe that he was the real deal. Even worse, Kyu-min has gone as far as signing posters with G-Dragon's name, and he held some events in China with the name Z-Dragon, scamming fans in the process. While it's very clear what he's trying to do, he always denied that he was impersonating G-Dragon, and even claimed that he hated being compared to him. Nevertheless, countless netizens are asking him to stop this behavior, and many are even calling for G-Dragon to take legal action against Kyu-min. Another case that has caused a lot of discussion and backlash online surrounds former Black Swan member Haemi. This scandal began in November 2020 when it was revealed that she was being sued for fraud after allegedly scamming a man out of around $45,000. According to the accusations, Haemi began talking with an unidentified male office worker through Instagram direct messages in December 2018 when she was a member of Rania, the group that was later rebranded as Black Swan in 2020. After exchanging some messages, Haemi apparently began seeing the man in person. Allegedly, Haemi started to borrow money from the man starting in April 2019, claiming that she needed help paying for her monthly rent, living expenses, and credit card bills. She promised to pay back everything, but then she changed her phone number and cut all communication with the man. After revealing his side of the story, the man began to pursue legal action against Haemi, but Black Swan's agency DR Music filed a countersuit against the accuser, claiming that the allegations were false. With the dispute becoming more heated, the man was interviewed by a news outlet adding more details. He explained that he first saw Haemi on the live streaming platform Africa TV without knowing that she was a K-pop idol, and he sent her donations worth $5,400 over the span of 2 months. The man stated that their interaction soon moved to Instagram messages, and then he asked for her phone number. According to the man, he started to see Haemi 2 or 3 times per week, and she claimed that she needed $4,500 to help her mother, so he sent the money to her. The man explained that after he did this, Haemi kept asking for more and more money, and when he couldn't send it anymore, he just gave her a credit card. He then said that he lent the money to Haemi under the condition that she wouldn't get involved in any illegal activity and with the promise that she would repay him back with her earnings as a singer. Apparently, Haemi even told the man that since she was a celebrity, there was no way she could be scamming him. However, the problem soon got even worse when Haemi started to drink and became more insistent when asking for money. The man then argued that he never asked Haemi to do anything physical with him in return for the money and claimed that she forced him to give her money again and again. The scandal led Haemi to leave Black Swan, and things got even messier when, a few months later, it was revealed that she secretly married another man in June 2020 and was in the midst of a divorce less than a year later. DR Music claimed that they had no idea that she got married, and they had no news about her since her contract had already been terminated. After all these scandals, Haemi disappeared from the world of entertainment, but she has remained active on Instagram. Meanwhile, it's unclear if the fraud case was resolved or not. Another former idol that has been embroiled in numerous controversies is Ahreum of T-Ara. She joined the already popular group in 2012, but she suddenly left just a year later. In 2017, a former T-Ara staff member claimed that Ahreum left the group after being harassed and insulted by the other members. This resulted in a wave of support for Ahreum, who then talked at length about how much she had struggled during her time in T-Ara and over the following years. So fans were very happy for her when, in 2019, she announced her upcoming marriage to her non-celebrity boyfriend, businessman Kim Young-gul, and many hoped that she could finally find some peace and stability. A few months later, Ahreum revealed that she was pregnant, and the couple welcomed their first child in May 2020. Their second child was born in 2022, but at the same time, Ahreum revealed that her marriage was collapsing. The shocking revelation came during a TV show in which Ahreum was seen arguing with her husband and discussing divorce with him. In December 2023, Ahreum revealed that she had finalized her divorce with Young-gul and also announced that she had found a new boyfriend named Seo Dong-hoon, adding that she would register her marriage with him as soon as possible. This is when things took a very disturbing turn, as it was revealed that Ahreum's new partner had recently been released from prison after serving time behind bars for fraud and forcing himself on women. The accusations came from an anonymous netizen who claimed to have been a victim of Dong-hoon and immediately became viral online. A few days later, Ahreum claimed that Dong-hoon had attempted to take his own life, adding that she was taking legal action against the accusers. Things went quiet for a bit, but then in March 2024, Ahreum made headlines again when she accused her ex-husband of physically hurting her and their children. At the same time, she also claimed that someone was impersonating her online, using her identity to extort money from her family, her friends, and her fans. Just a couple of days later, Ahreum was hospitalized after attempting to take her own life. Meanwhile, new accusations against Ahreum and Donghoon surfaced. Dispatch confirmed that Donghoon had indeed served time in prison and was a well-known fraudster. Then they exposed the truth behind the couple's behavior. According to their report, over the previous few months, Ahreum and Donghoon began sending messages to T-Ara fans asking for money, allegedly to cover the medical expenses for Ahreum's children. They used pictures of themselves in the hospital to convince fans, and they received more than $32,000, only repaying back around $1,500. More reports later alleged that the couple actually used the money to gamble in online sports betting games. Ahreum strongly denied all the accusations, but leaked text messages between her and her boyfriend seemingly confirmed that they were taking money from fans to gamble online. Ahreum then claimed that Donghoon forced her to borrow money from her fans, adding that he attacked her and endangered her children. In the midst of all this chaos, the couple apparently broke up. However, it seems like this wasn't true, and they instead remained together, as in October, Ahreum gave birth to her third child and announced her fourth pregnancy, with Donghoon as the father. Meanwhile, in the summer of 2024, Ahreum was sent to prosecution, first with the accusations of child neglect and exploitation of minors, and then on charges of fraud. In April 2025, Ahreum was sentenced to 6 months in prison, suspended for 2 years, for defrauding her fans and stealing money from several people. Then in October, she was also sentenced to 8 months behind bars, suspended for 2 years, for mistreating her children and defaming Donghoon, who was instead cleared of all charges. In a related case, Ahreum's mother was also sentenced to 4 months in prison, suspended for a year on charges of abducting a minor. Ahreum has shocked the K-pop world with her disturbing fraud and her awful behavior, and with 2 prison sentences looming over her, it seems like now she's finally going to pay for her mistakes. As you can see, one of the most shocking cases involves T-Ara's former member Ahreum, whose story goes far deeper than most realize. T-Ara's Ahreum had a pretty normal career and life until a few years ago when she got married. Since then, everything she has done has turned into quite a spectacle. From fraud to illegal gambling, here's Ahreum's complicated web of lies. Ahreum has been sharing her private life with the public for quite a while now, especially her romantic relationships. She got married to her first husband in October 2019, and their son was born only a couple of months later. 2 years after becoming parents, the couple went on the show Between Marriage and Divorce and revealed their once perfect relationship was crumbling. Viewers were shocked to see how strained their interactions were, even though they were married with a child. Things got messier when it was revealed just how often Ahreum mentioned divorce in their arguments, leading people to believe that the situation was quite serious. It was also revealed that Ahreum struggled with thoughts of self-harm due to her deteriorating mental health. Hwayoung, her husband at the time, also admitted his own battles with work-related depression, but said that he wanted to stay strong for their son. Overall, it didn't take a genius to assess that the couple wouldn't last. However, things took a turn in July of 2022 when Ahreum revealed that not only did the two stay together, but that she was pregnant with their second child. While this seemed like the case of a couple trying to save their marriage by having children, Ahreum also said that her husband was acting a lot nicer. In addition to that, she cleared up that the pregnancy wasn't accidental, as the couple was thinking of having a third child as well. You would think that this is where things would get better for the couple, but the exact opposite happened. Things only got much messier as, in December of last year, she made another sudden announcement, now letting the public know that she was getting divorced from Hwayoung despite claiming that things were going well before. Not only that, but she also announced that she would be getting married again once her divorce was finalized. As you can see, she's one to drop bombshell news when you least expect it. In her Instagram post, she explained that she had been in a lot of pain before she met her then fiancé, dropping hints that something more serious was going on behind the scenes. Ahreum didn't share any specifics though, as she claimed that she wanted to respect her ex-husband and the father of her children. She also knew rumors might spread about her cheating on Hwayoung, especially since she had found a new partner before her divorce was finalized. So she decided to set the record straight before things got out of hand and said that the two had been separated for a while at that point. However, things weren't adding up if we consider Ahreum's own timeline of events. Just a year before the divorce announcement, Ahreum announced her second pregnancy with plans to have a third child. This means that between June of 2022 and December of 2023, she got got pregnant and announced the pregnancy as well as her future plans with her husband, whom she claimed had changed for the better. Then she stated that they had been separated for a while and that she had met someone else whom she was planning to marry. All of this in just a single year. Despite her clarification that she hadn't been cheating on her husband, some assumed that she was rushing into marriage because her second child wasn't conceived with her first husband. Whatever the truth was, a lot more things started coming out, and at some point people didn't know what to believe. Just a few days after Ahreum's announcement, a post appeared online with a netizen claiming that a girl group member was going to get married to a fraudster. Of course, the post didn't mention any names, but they said that the girl group member was marrying her boyfriend even though she still hadn't divorced her ex, so it wasn't hard to piece the puzzle together. According to the original poster, the idol's new husband had actually been to prison for non-consensual acts and fraud and had been previously charged with harassment and defamation among other crimes. This meant that he wasn't a screenwriter as he had claimed, but an actual criminal. Then the original poster revealed that she was one of his many victims and went on to talk about his previous crimes, each more serious than the other. According to the original poster, after his first marriage was over, he tricked women into thinking he had a job and cheated them out of money. He also secretly took inappropriate photos of women while they slept and recorded certain moments without their consent, using these to control and blackmail them. When his lies were exposed, he turned to physically harming them and falsely claimed he was the one being harmed. Instead of addressing these allegations, though, Ahreum wrote a very vague post in which she threatened to take legal action against malicious commenters, expressed how much she loved her boyfriend, and said that the rumors were meant to get a response out of her. She did admit that the boyfriend wasn't a screenwriter, though, and this made people wonder what else she was lying about. Just a day later, she shared that her then boyfriend tried to take his own life due to all the negative comments he was receiving. Once again, she said that she would punish those responsible, but she continued standing beside him either way. Then she dropped yet another bombshell and accused her ex-husband of physically and mentally harming her and her children. It was one thing after another, and people started to lose the thread. On March the 2nd, she released a long statement in which Ahreum exposed him for taking out loans without letting her know about it, as well as gambling their money away without ever offering her any financial support. Ahreum shared that she stayed quiet about mistreatment to shield her children, and she even sent them to her ex-husband thinking it would speed up the divorce process. Ahreum's statement detailed how her older son, aged 5, was hit and once forced out of the house for making noise while Hwayoung and his mom were asleep. There were more disturbing instances, but we won't get into it because it's pretty messed up. Ahreum also announced that she had complete custody of her kids and expressed being very determined to hold her ex-husband accountable with the evidence she's gathered. She went into more detail about her own experiences in a post dated from March 25th, saying that her ex-husband started getting upset when she would buy necessary stuff for her 2 children, including vitamins. This then escalated physically as he started hurting Ahreum while their children were in the same room. She also said that on a specific occasion, he had severely hurt her and threatened to fatally harm her. On another occasion, her ex-husband had allegedly victimized himself when his mother had called. Even though the phone call had happened while Ahreum was being harmed, the ex-husband had told his mom that his wife was crazy and that she should be placed in a psych ward. People didn't even have enough time to properly process the news, as 2 days later it was reported that Ahreum had attempted to take her own life and was hospitalized. Not even this situation could stop people from making up rumors, though, as controversial YouTuber Lee Jin-ho made a video claiming that Ahreum's partner had tried to get money from her fans. Ahreum had explained she was hacked before, but Lee Jin-ho claimed Ahreum's boyfriend asked followers for cash, saying they needed it for surgery while she was pregnant and in the hospital. Ahreum left a comment on the video saying that she would file a lawsuit, but little did she know that Dispatch was about to expose them both. Before that, though, she made another revelation, saying that her children were taken to a facility as her ex-husband had claimed that she was mistreating them. She said, "The Sochogu office has taken them. I don't know where they are. I've only received photos of them, and I feel bad about this." Ahreum also revealed that she was pregnant once again and that she was still with her boyfriend. Then, the Dispatch article came out. In a scathing expose, Dispatch revealed that Ahreum's boyfriend had indeed served prison time in 2021 on charges of fraud, harassment, and making threats, with 2 out of his 3 victims being his ex-girlfriends. He was released back in September of 2023, a few months before Ahreum announced their relationship. After his release, he started falsely claiming that he was a screenwriter for Lotta Entertainment, which also matches up with the testimony of the netizen. According to Dispatch, Ahreum and the boyfriend first started talking in October and started asking for money from their acquaintances just 2 months later. This snowballed into straight-up fraud as the couple asked for money from fans under the guise that they needed it for the medical expenses of Ahreum's child. They allegedly borrowed around $22,000 from from them and used it to gamble on an online sports betting game. Then, they started sending pictures of Ahreum in the hospital to fans to ask for more money. As per Dispatch's report, out of the $32,700 they borrowed in total from 10 victims, they only repaid about $1,500. Since Dispatch had screenshots and pictures to back up the claims, Ahreum had no way to get out of that situation. So on April 19th, it was reported that she had broken up with her fiancé after all those controversies. At this point, Ahreum denied that fans lent her money, saying that they were just helping her voluntarily. Ahreum's response seemed more like a ramble than a direct rebuttal to Dispatch's claims. She mentioned using the money for legal action and to regain custody of her children, justifying it as a noble cause. She denied any involvement in illegal gambling, claiming, "I want to show you my phone, I was hacked. All the texts that my phone had sent out were from the hackers. They manipulated it the way they manipulated photos." This wasn't all, as she went on to accuse her ex-fiancé of coercing her into doing illegal things. Shortly after the breakup, YouTuber Lee Jin-ho uploaded a video alleging that Ahreum had emailed him evidence and stories backing her assertions. To prove that he had spoken to Ahreum, he shared parts of their phone conversation where she claimed that she was coerced into scamming others. She said, "I have never committed fraud with Mr. So. Instead, I was harmed by him. He imprisoned me at home with my children for several months, forcing me to take out loans." According to her, the money wasn't used for gambling either, as she doubled down on her stance that she had no idea what the betting game was and that everything was done by her ex-boyfriend on her phone. Lee Jin-ho didn't seem to quite believe that she was completely innocent, so Ahreum said that her boyfriend made her do everything and showed proof that all the money she received was redirected to his bank account. But Lee Jin-ho had a counter to that, as he presented a screenshot of a supposed text exchange between Ahreum and the boyfriend, where Ahreum confessed to borrowing money for gambling. In the screenshot, Ahreum asks her boyfriend if he was bothered that she used his betting account, explaining that she couldn't use her own since she was a celebrity. She goes on to curse at him, urging him to even sue her, and the whole message is pretty aggressive. Ahreum insisted she had repaid all the money she received and intends to sue her ex-boyfriend to clarify matters. In Lee Jin-ho's video, the ex denied all allegations, suggesting the need for authorities to investigate due to conflicting statements and the complexity of the situation. She didn't respond to any of this though, and on April 21st, she announced she would be taking a break from social media to focus on her life. Ahreum mentioned she had addressed all victim messages via Instagram and would deactivate her account. However, just a week later on April 29th, her Instagram was back up with posts about starting again. She didn't address any of the screenshots that Lee Jin-ho had shared, in which it was proven that she lied about everything, which has made netizens doubt whatever she said. At this point, they didn't know what was true and what wasn't, since Ahreum had made a lot of claims, and whenever she got caught up in lies, she deflected the blame to someone else. She really needs to stay off social media and focus on her children because her online presence isn't doing her any good. But scams in K-pop aren't limited to individuals, as some entire groups turned out to be fake from the start.
The story of fake K-pop groups that trolled the whole K-pop world is both hilarious and very educational. Not only did they play a joke on all of us, but they also taught K-pop fans a lesson by pointing out how quick they are to pass judgment and send hate messages to people they don't even know. The rise. Hundreds of new K-pop groups debut each year, and so when a new one is announced, it's not very surprising. New groups usually make headlines when they do something controversial or when they come from one of the big labels. The big labels always know how to stir the waters and make a big splash. Well, the story of today's video made some big waves online a few years ago due to it being both very controversial and very funny. We're talking about a fake K-pop group called Girly. On March 16th, 2020, a new account appeared on Twitter promoting a new girl group. At first, the name of the group was Girlfriend, and it's exactly that made the account blow up in a matter of hours. The account of the alleged new girl group posted their first tweet under the name Girlfriend, and the fans of G-Friend saw it as an opportunity to attack the Twitter account and the quote-unquote new group. The fans of G-Friend claimed that the name Girlfriend is way too similar to G-Friend, and they found it unfair. One fan wrote, "I know they are called differently in Korean, G-Friend being 여자친구 and this group read as girlfriend, but seriously, I feel like this group will receive criticism because of the similarity. Nothing against this group at all, hope they do well." To this, another fan replied, "Damn, and I thought G-Friend stans were nice." This response alone received another reaction from G-Friend stans, one of them writing, "Probably you don't stan G-Friend, so you won't feel the same way like we do. Please don't generalize generalized fandoms. So as you can see already, at the very beginning, there was a fight. This whole drama shows how K-pop fans, especially Twitter stans, are quick to jump to conclusions and pass judgment without knowing what's truly going on. Also, even if the group was real, what's wrong with having a similar name to an already existing group? Last time I checked, it's not a crime. Anyway, the story continues. Basically, the whole fight between G-Friend stans and other K-pop stans escalated, and it made the Twitter account of the fake group more popular. People started to support them just because there were some fans attacking them, so they wanted to protect them. Before the Twitter account of Girlfriend changed its name to Girly, they also made a post saying that the group will debut in the upcoming months of 2020 and that they are signed under JCM Entertainment. This point made the whole thing pretty believable for casual fans who didn't look too deep into it. JCM Entertainment was a legit company that previously was active in the music industry, but their last group 4L disbanded in 2016. The Twitter account also introduced the first few members of Girly, and it also received quite a lot of reactions. First, the post seemed as if they were done by one of the K-pop profile websites, but as the account was getting more traffic, it suddenly all came crashing down when one K-pop fan found out that the owner of Girly's account was trolling. But before this, there were already dozens of articles about a new group coming, people were making fan accounts, and prepared to stan without knowing anything about the group. So what followed after this? The fall. The Twitter user 95zers made a whole thread about what actually happened with Girly, and they pointed out all the inconsistencies in the statements of the group's account. First, they found out that although the company JCM Entertainment is a real entertainment company, they no longer had any active websites and pages because they weren't active anymore since 2016. Second, the posts were written in bad Korean and English with a lot of typos and mistakes. Many international fans try to justify it by saying that the account must be run by someone from Korea who isn't great in English, but the Korean-speaking fans pointed out that the Korean used in the tweets is not formal but casual, which we all know isn't the style of any K-pop agency. Lastly, the members' profiles were obviously all fake, but one of them kind of spoiled the whole thing. Girly's account introduced one of the members under the name Im Da-eum, but the fans found out that it's fake because the girl in the picture was a physical therapist who's active on Instagram, so that's when the whole thing went down. The account admitted that they were fake and that they were just trolling, but they also revealed why they decided to do this. According to the account owner, they wanted to promote unknown groups or groups that are less popular. Their plan was probably to create a fake group, promote them till they get a lot of followers, and then admit that they lied, but keep the account and promote new K-pop groups from smaller companies, or they really just wanted to troll. Shortly after the account got exposed for being fake, they started to work on sharing info about less known groups, but it didn't take long before they closed the account and disappeared from the internet. But the whole thing is much more interesting when we look at the actions of the fans who had no clue who these members of Girly were. They decided to stan them and create accounts for their potential fans or make profiles of the members on some websites. On top of that, it's even weirder that there were people who decided to attack the alleged new group just because their name was similar to an already existing group. The whole drama showed how toxic and bad the K-pop community can be towards new idols and how some stans are willing to take things too far. And although I'd like to say that this story is over, I can't because there's more tea to spill. Not the first time. In an article of Insider, the Twitter user 95zers who made the thread about Girly said that she's always wary of pre-debut groups that only have a Twitter account because this isn't the first time a fake group popped up. And true, this whole Girly drama wasn't the first time that people got tricked into believing there's a new group coming when in fact it was all fake. In 2016, there was a huge scandal with a group called Lion Girls. The group was all fake, but the people behind it made the debut look so believable that many fans got tricked. The group was even covered by websites like Soompi, All K-Pop, Girl Group Zone, Omona They Didn't, and the whole thing seemed super real because there were legit articles made about them. Lion Girls were promoted as a group that would debut under Hunnis Entertainment, but what really made Lion Girls so convincing was the fact that their accounts published teaser pictures with members of the group. They said that the girls' names are Park Yuna, Kim Stella, and Yuki, and the teaser pictures looked, well, good to the point that it would pass for real teaser pictures. The group had all the accounts up and running. Soompi even posted an article that the group would be dropping a new teaser for their debut song, but then they got exposed. The way that they got exposed was also in a troll-like manner. The owner of the accounts and the people behind the fake group tricked the fans into believing that their accounts got hacked. People first suspected that it was armies who hacked the accounts, but according to this post, they were talking a lot of stuff about EXO. It resulted in a whole Twitter fight, yes, once again, and then the Lion Girls account wrote, "I scammed my way into Soompi, Girl Group Zone, and All K-Pop. When will you ever?" Which quite literally was a whole mic drop moment in the K-pop world. Strange thing about this particular scandal is that the alleged company, Hunnis Entertainment, behind Lion Girls also had to step forward and reveal that they are in no way affiliated with this particular popular group. With the amount of scams and unbelievable things happening in K-pop, some fans have become very wary. Interestingly, in 2019, the K-pop group Purpleback actually suffered because of it. The company behind Purpleback, Majesty Entertainment, tried a new method of introducing the group by interacting with K-pop fans and netizens online. By doing this, they tried to create a relatable, approachable image for their new group before they even debuted. But the fans found out that the company's address was linked to a 7-Eleven, so some netizens started to spread online that the company is fake and that someone is trying to trick K-pop fans once again into believing that there's an upcoming new girl group. Well, this is where it gets weird. The company, Majesty Entertainment, actually had to release a statement in which they explained what was really going on. The reason why their address was linked to a 7-Eleven branch was that their company was in the same building. They wrote a statement saying, "The company office is located in a larger office building, the main floor of which is used by a convenience store. You can find the address of the office on Majesty's website. The company website is still under construction. Please understand we are a small company and our resources are stretched thin, but it will be completed in a timely manner." This part of the statement explained why the whole thing seemed sketchy, and then they had to actually react to other claims. They wrote, "It's true Majesty and Purpleback are trying a new method to connect with K-pop fans by interacting through SNS. However, along with attracting fans, we have attracted rumors. As many groups are being debuted at this time, the company wants Purpleback to stand out among the crowd to walk the flower path to success." Now, Purpleback truly debuted, and they were just victims of false accusations of being fake before they hit the stage for the first time. What do you think about fake K-pop groups? Do you think that K-pop fans are quick to jump to conclusions?
Even when it's not about fake idols, artificial numbers can be just as damaging, changing how the entire industry measures success. Have you ever wondered if your favorite K-pop band's success is real? Well, once you get through this video, you might begin to question everything you know about K-pop fame. You see, streaming bots have made a mess of the reputations, reliability, and perception of every K-pop band out there because of one tragic possibility. Maybe these groups don't have an audience as big as we all thought, but how is a deception of that level really possible? Let's find out. Imagine thinking your favorite song is topping the charts because everyone loves it, only to find out it's been pushed up by bots streaming it on repeat. That's exactly what's been happening, and it's making a lot of fans and industry insiders question what's real and what's just artificially inflated numbers. This whole mess isn't new, and in K-pop, there's even a word for it: sajigi. It's basically when companies mess with the charts using shady tactics to boost their artists' rankings. And guess what? People have been getting caught. Back in 2020, South Korea's Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism decided they had seen enough and started investigating multiple entertainment companies for chart manipulation. They were trying to figure out just how deep the problem ran and whether some of those chart-topping hits were even legit in the first place. Do you know what one of the most talked about cases was? Sean's Way Back Home in 2018. Before that song blew up, most people had no idea who he even was, but suddenly he was dominating the charts, beating out huge K-pop groups. Naturally, that raised a lot of eyebrows. Was it really a sleeper hit, or was his agency playing the system? Well, most people were convinced bots had been used to boost streams and that the song's success was anything but organic. Of course, his team denied it, saying the song's success came from viral marketing, but let's be real, fans weren't buying that excuse so easily. By 2024, things were still wild. Authorities charged 11 people, including a whole CEO, for manipulating music charts to push 15 different K-pop songs up the rankings. Just when you'd think the industry was cleaning up, this case proved that chart rigging is still alive and well. But that wasn't all. Back in 2013, Teen Top's unexpected music show victory led to a full-blown sajigi scandal. Fans couldn't believe the group had pulled off a win, and rumors started flying that their sales had been artificially inflated using shady methods, which included streaming bots and mass album buying. The accusations got so out of hand that Teen Top's agency, Top Media, wasn't about to let it slide. They went out and filed lawsuits against 4 people who had spread the rumors. According to them, the claims were completely false and damaging to the group's reputation. But here's the thing: whether Teen Top actually did anything wrong or not, the fact that people immediately suspected chart manipulation says a lot about how bad things had already gotten in K-pop. Now here's the thing: not every artist has a giant fan base that can pull off those record-breaking streaming numbers. Some groups rely purely on real listener engagement, while others, well, allegedly, they've got a little extra help in the form of bots. These bots flood streaming platforms, making certain songs skyrocket in popularity, even if the actual number of human fans isn't nearly as high. It's unfair, plain and simple, and it makes it impossible to know what's real and what's just, well, fake hype. If you think about it, this whole bot mess doesn't just affect individual artists. When some groups get artificially boosted, the entire music industry suffers. Charts become unreliable, genuine talent gets overlooked, and rising artists have a harder time getting noticed. Even platforms like Spotify and YouTube are over it, and they've started cracking down by deleting fake streams or, in some cases, suspending accounts altogether. Imagine building up millions of views just to have them wiped out overnight. That kind of thing doesn't just mess with an artist's numbers, it messes with their reputation too. Plus, think about it, fans aren't just casually watching music videos anymore. They're forming teams, following strict streaming guides, and pulling all-nighters to boost numbers. It's like a full-time job, except no one's getting paid and the stress levels are through the roof. Companies love it though. The bigger the numbers, the more impressive the success looks. But at what cost? Let's talk about one of the wildest moments that expose just how far things can go. The 2017 Mnet Asian Music Awards. Voting was in full swing, and suddenly Mnet realized something shady was happening. Turns out, bots were casting votes like crazy, pushing certain artists ahead unfairly. Mnet hit the brakes, shut things down, and wiped out all fraudulent votes. They even banned IP addresses and deleted accounts. It was a whole mess. Fans accused each other, artists got dragged into controversies, and suddenly nobody trusted the system anymore. Was any award truly earned, or were bots and obsessive fan tactics behind everything? And this isn't just about award shows. Streaming culture itself has become a competition. It's not just let's support our faves. It's if we don't hit this number, another group will beat us, and we cannot let that happen. There's a thread on Reddit where fans vent about how exhausting it is. Some even feel like the whole thing ruins their enjoyment of music. Instead of playing songs naturally, they're stuck in a cycle of streaming marathons, making sure numbers don't drop. And here's something that nobody talks about, how all this non-stop streaming affects the environment. Yep, music streaming actually has a carbon footprint, and some K-pop fans are starting to realize that their constant replaying might not be the most eco-friendly thing. MIT Technology Review even covered it, pointing out how some fans are looking for greener ways to support their idols. The music industry is fighting back against streaming bots, and the way these platforms are cracking down proves just how bad the problem has gotten. And sometimes, even real fans get caught in the crossfire. Back in February 2020, BTS dropped On, and their fans were hyped. They streamed like crazy, setting record-breaking numbers, until suddenly millions of views vanished. Fans were not happy, and soon hashtags like #YT-brings67M back were everywhere. But YouTube wasn't backing down. They explained that their system automatically checks for fake views and removes anything suspicious. So while fans thought they were just supporting their idols, YouTube's anti-bot measures saw something else. It was a clear example of how these artificial boosts can backfire. Instead of celebrating a record, fans were fighting to get those numbers reinstated. Spotify isn't playing around either. The platform has been hitting artists with fines if their songs rack up an excessive amount of fake streams. A discussion on Reddit even pointed out that some songs had over 90% fraudulent plays, meaning barely anyone was actually listening. That's a huge deal. It's not just about losing fake streams, it's about losing credibility. When Spotify flags a song for bot activity, that artist's reputation takes a hit. Fans might think they're helping, but in reality, they're making it harder for their faves to succeed. Unfortunately, it's not just the big names getting caught up in this mess. Independent artists who are already struggling to gain recognition have been hit too. Some have gotten warnings from Spotify about fraudulent streams even when they had no idea what was happening. In one case, a small artist's song got added to a botted playlist without their knowledge, and just like that, the track was removed. Imagine working hard on your music only to have it taken down because someone else was trying to game the system. Even distribution platforms like DistroKid aren't letting this slide. If an artist is caught using bots, whether they knew about it or not, they risk getting banned, losing their music, and having their accounts shut down. It's a strict no excuses policy, and it shows how seriously these platforms are taking streaming fraud. The worst part is that fan communities are still debating whether organized streaming is okay. Some say it's just another way to show support, while others admit it's basically mimicking bots. But platforms don't care who is behind the unnatural numbers. If it looks fake, they'll wipe it out. And when views and streams get deleted, all that effort goes to waste. The way things are going, it's getting harder and harder to tell what's real success and what's just a numbers game. When bots are involved, chart rankings start looking fake, award wins feel meaningless, and suddenly people are side-eyeing every breakout hit like, wait, was this actually popular or just boosted by some shady streaming farm? Take 2019 for example. Out of nowhere, Woody's song Fire Up shot straight to the top of the charts, leaving even the biggest K-pop groups in the dust. Sounds like a feel-good underdog story, right? Well, not really. Fans, netizens, and even industry professionals were immediately suspicious. How does a lesser-known singer suddenly dominate every major chart overnight? Platforms like Melon and Genie were among many who had to step in and tweak tweak their algorithms just to stop this kind of thing from happening again. And just when you think it couldn't get worse, 2021 gave us one of the most blatant confessions of chart rigging in K-pop history. Youngtak's agency straight up admitted that they paid a company to artificially stream his song "Why Are You Coming Out From There" nonstop to boost its ranking. That wasn't just speculation or internet rumors, it was confirmed by his own team. If that doesn't prove how deep the problem runs, what does? His reputation took a massive hit, and fans who had supported him genuinely felt completely betrayed. But beyond just one artist, it exposed something bigger. The fact that a lot of success in K-pop might not be as organic as we're led to believe. Fans are getting fed up, charts are losing credibility, and even international audiences who were already skeptical about the idol system now have even more reasons to doubt its authenticity. If K-pop wants to keep growing globally, this kind of manipulation needs to stop. And behind those inflated numbers lies an even bigger secret: the manipulation that shapes the charts we trust most. Chart manipulation has been a problem in the K-pop industry for quite a while, even though very few people have been brought to justice because of it. Amid recent accusations, many are now questioning which artists might have used illegal methods to achieve success, and whether the truth about these practices will ever come to light. One of the most shocking things that came out of the whole HYBE versus Adore battle was Min Hee-jin accusing HYBE of chart manipulation. In one of the emails that she sent to the parent company, Min Hee-jin explained that HYBE proposed advanced purchasing of 100,000 albums to help New Jeans surpass aespa's first week sales with their Get Up album. However, Min Hee-jin claimed that she rejected this idea as it went against Adore's business philosophy. The revelation was shocking because it's rare for the industry's leading company to face accusations of sales manipulation. Netizens commented, "If they made deals with refunds as a clause, then it's Sajegi for sure." And just how much more of HYBE's crimes will get revealed. But what's advanced purchasing, and why is it considered illegal? First, we need to explain what Sajegi is and how it's being used to boost sales and streams. Sajegi refers to unethical practices used by companies and artists to artificially boost a song's position on online charts. These practices traditionally made use of automated bots or computer farms, which were used to repeatedly stream the song to inflate its play count. Another form of Sajegi includes entertainment agencies buying their own CDs in bulk to increase sales figures. However, not every agency or artist can commit Sajegi, since this practice requires quite a bit of money. Reports indicate that keeping a song in the top 50 can cost over $200,000 per day. How this works is that entertainment companies often hire marketing companies that work with shady tech firms to execute these schemes. Behind the scenes, tens of thousands of IDs and IP addresses get purchased to stream the artist's music from a single computer, which is connected to numerous other computers to boost the stream count. Additionally, they stream random songs similar to those of the artist's competitors to push the competitors down the charts. To make the manipulation appear even more legitimate, these companies might advise artists to release a ballad or mid-tempo song with relatable lyrics, and they pre-release covers on social media as a facade. Unfortunately, it's difficult for law enforcement to determine whether the charts and numbers have been manipulated or not. The surprising, or non-surprising part of it all is that most companies are guilty of it, whether they're big or small. In fact, it's even more difficult for people to know if big companies committed Sajegi, since the public automatically expects artists from the big three to do well in terms of sales and charts. So when people see that a well-known artist is doing well, they usually don't question it or suspect that anything fishy is going on. The use of illegal tactics by big artists and companies was confirmed by JYP Entertainment's founder, Park Jin-young, who revealed he had a recording of an industry insider admitting to chart manipulation. The insider claimed that 6 of the top 10 artists were using these tactics to boost their rankings. However, as we mentioned, it's hard for the police to identify which results are real and which ones are fraudulent, so most cases of Sajegi have gone unnoticed by the law. The chart manipulation that HYBE is allegedly committing isn't the traditional one. According to what Min Hee-jin said, the company is inflating first-week sales by bulk buying albums from retailers and then returning them for refunds. To make sure that the albums sell eventually, the company cooperates with retailers to arrange fan sign events. This might have you wondering, why don't they just organize fan signs later? No matter how important fan signs are for album sales, they typically happen later on in the promotion period and don't really help with boosting first-week numbers. Although this method isn't illegal yet, it's been deemed as another form of Sajegi, as it manipulates the charts by artificially inflating first-week sales numbers through bulk buying, which doesn't reflect true interest. Unlike traditional Sajegi practices, this strategy is seen as a legal loophole created by HYBE to boost album positions on the charts. This has led to people suspecting that the album sale numbers of HYBE groups are fraudulent and asking for the company to be investigated. Out of all the artists, BTS was the one that the public targeted first. Prior to this, BTS were accused of chart manipulation on 2 separate occasions. The first time was in 2015, when their album The Most Beautiful Moments in Life Part 1 seemingly outsold Big Bang's Made Series M in physical sales. In particular, a netizen made a post back then comparing BTS's sales over 4 days to the weekly sales of other top groups of the generation like Super Junior, Beast, and Dolbang Shingi. They pointed out that BTS's previous album had 15,000 first-week sales and a total of 78,000 sales with 15 fan meets, while The Most Beautiful Moments in Life Part 1 sold 47,000 copies in just 4 days without any fan meets. Several netizens on forums also went on to post charts claiming it was evidence of BTS engaging in sajegi. Amidst everything that was going on, Big Hit had no choice but to release a statement denying everything they were being accused of. According to them, they simply didn't have the necessary resources to commit chart manipulation even if they wanted to, but nothing could convince netizens that they weren't guilty. They were mostly in disbelief since BTS's numbers suddenly surged overnight, a pattern often associated with illegal tactics used by companies to inflate sales or streams. The issue got so big that Big Hit actually faced legal trouble and had to appear in front of a court. However, just like they had explained, it turns out that at the time, Big Hit was nearing bankruptcy and couldn't afford anything, let alone pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to top the charts. Even netizens went on to calculate the chances of BTS faking their album sales numbers, and it seemed very unlikely. The accusations of sajegi came back in 2017, even after they were already disproven by the court. In 2017, someone named E received a 1-year prison sentence from the Seoul Central District Court as it was said that he attempted to blackmail Hybe. According to court documents, he had apparently asked the company to pay him money, and if they didn't, he threatened to expose documents to the media alleging Hybe's involvement in illegal marketing. He extorted about $47,000 over 8 separate instances, claiming that he was hired for online marketing for BTS and resorted to extortion due to financial difficulties. He alleged that the company engaged in illegal marketing and chart manipulation, which Hybe denied. They actually argued E's claims were baseless and that they had paid to protect BTS's image, not to hide any crimes. However, court documents suggest otherwise, indicating that E posed as a hacker and used obtained data to threaten Hybe, saying that they would expose the company's illegal marketing practices. Because of the ongoing issues with Adore and Hybe, these court documents emerged once again, causing public doubt. Hybe did their best to defend themselves in this situation. They released a statement, and while they didn't specifically mention the sajegi accusations, they addressed the attempts to harm their artist's reputation, highlighting the seriousness of spreading rumors and false information. They also said that they were strengthening legal actions by hiring another law firm and monitoring harmful online posts, as they're committed to pursuing the matter vigorously without offering leniency or settlements. Unfortunately for them, it seems like the issue was taken more seriously than they expected. Recently, on May 21st, reports surfaced stating that the Korean Creative Content Agency, a branch under the Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism, received an official complaint regarding BTS's alleged sajegi. Initially, the complaints were sent to the Ministry of Culture, then redirected to the KCCA. Now the KCCA plans to contact Hybe to investigate the claims, but as of May 28th, there haven't been any official updates on the matter. Netizens don't seem to think that the KCCA are going to find anything though, with one user commenting, "They aren't an investigative agency, so this investigation is pretty useless." Some suggest that BTS shouldn't be the sole focus of investigations into chart manipulation, and their wishes seem to be coming true, as recently a former CEO of an entertainment agency and 10 others have been brought to trial for the same reason. This is a case that started back in 2021. According to the prosecutor's office, between December 2018 and December 2019, the former CEO Mr. Geem and his associates used over 500 virtual PCs, numerous purchased IP addresses, and illegally obtained personal information to repeatedly stream 15 songs on major domestic music sites over 1.7 million times. They recruited clients through brokers to manipulate music chart rankings using multiple IPs and virtual PCs to access music sites with numerous accounts. This method made it so the music site systems, which were supposed to block access from multiple accounts, didn't work. CEO Geem was indicted for manipulating music charts for his agency and assisting 3 others. The manipulated songs included Why Are You Coming Out From There by trot singer Young Tak, Oopsie by idol group Nature, and Between Love and Friendship by ballad singer KCM. It's obvious that South Korea's legal system has started to take charges of chart manipulation very seriously. As a prosecution official stated, "Through this investigation, we have concretely confirmed that the long-standing suspicions of systematic music chart manipulation in the music market were indeed true. CEO Geem and his associates likely won't be the last to face legal consequences for chart manipulation. However, it's interesting that only small agencies and artists keep being exposed, despite big companies having more at stake and a greater likelihood of resorting to illegal methods to avoid financial losses. Either way, get ready to see more people get behind bars for chart manipulation, because the police and government don't seem to be messing around anymore." It might not have been a scam, but to many viewers, Time Turner felt just like one. A show that promised everything and delivered chaos instead. K-pop survival shows have always tried to introduce fresh ideas to keep the fans hooked, but when the TikTok survival show Time Turner tried to do so, it completely backfired. What was meant to be a unique short-form idea has been called low-budget, disappointing viewers after just the first episode. A few months ago, it was announced that Time Turner, Korea's first live girl group survival show, would be launched on TikTok in November. Produced by the well-known Korean media companies PI Corporation and MakeStar, the show aimed to discover a new generation of global stars. Contestants would audition in a unique space-time called P314, a place full of limitless potential where dreams can come true. Female participants from all over the world, aged 19 and older, were invited to apply through the official TikTok and Instagram channels of Time Turner until September 18th. Those who passed the preliminary auditions began their activities on TikTok in October, and the show officially kicked off on TikTok Live on November 8th, 2024. Time Turner already had an interesting premise, especially as it was said to be based only on global fan votes, which created a lot of excitement among fans. However, what really took the show to the next level in terms of hype were the official contestants, many of whom were already well known in the K-pop industry. One such contestant was Lia Navab Hwayoung. While her younger siblings, Hwayoung Kai of TXT and Bahia of Kepler, are both established K-pop idols with growing fan bases, Lia was actually the first to make her debut in 2017 as a member of the girl group Viva. She spent about a year as an active idol until the group quietly disbanded in 2018 with no official statement from the agency. Despite the setback, Lia didn't fade from the spotlight. Instead, she continued to build her presence as a YouTuber, TikToker, singer, model, and even an MC. In November 2022, she made her solo debut with the single A Good Day to Love, and she frequently appeared in fun TikToks and dance challenges alongside her siblings. But the real buzz around her began in April when news broke that she had signed with PI Corporation. It was later confirmed that she would be joining Time Turner as a contestant, making fans giddy about seeing her on stage again. Fast forward to the day the first episode of Time Turner aired, and let's just say it didn't take long for viewers to spot a number of issues. Right from the start, many fans were not happy with how the eliminations were handled, particularly because they happened so early in the show. What made it worse was that the rules around the voting gifts weren't explained until after the first contestant performed, and sadly, she was eliminated immediately after. Usually, K-pop survival shows build up excitement with something like a signal song mission where contestants battle it out for the center position, something fans look forward to and enjoy. But with Time Turner, the show released a very short signal song before the show even premiered, which pretty much fizzled out any excitement that viewers might have had about it. Fans were left feeling confused and disappointed, and the energy quickly went up in smoke before it even really started. Many were also shocked to see that a significant number of contestants didn't sing for their first performance, and 12 out of the 18 contestants only danced. Fans were particularly concerned because Time Turner was supposed to launch a K-pop group where strong singing and dancing are typically essential. However, some of the trainees on the show didn't seem to excel in basically any of those areas, raising doubts about what the show was really about. Were they aiming to debut well-rounded idols or just create influencers given their focus on dancing while overlooking vocals and other skills that idols should have? Speaking of issues, the show's voting process certainly raised a lot of questions and concerns. Fans were especially taken aback when they discovered that, rather than using a dedicated website or app for voting like every other survival show did, Time Turner relied on the free-to-use Google Forms platform. For many, this immediately felt unprofessional. Some viewers even went as far as to call it a scam, believing that such an informal voting system couldn't possibly guarantee fairness or accuracy. As if that wasn't enough, it was revealed that the votes with the most influence weren't even those from regular fans submitting their picks. Instead, the most significant votes came from TikTok Live gifts. For those who don't know, these are virtual items that viewers can buy with real money to show support for their favorite contestants. The pop-up appearance of TikTok Live gifts on screen during the contestants' performances made the whole show seem pretty cheap. Viewers couldn't help but feel that these distractions took away from the seriousness of the competition. And instead of focusing on the contestants' abilities, it felt more like an advertisement for TikTok's virtual gift system. The worst part is that the contestants didn't even know about this. During one of her live streams, Dahlia, who was one of the participants on the show, made a shocking revelation that she had no idea that votes would be based on paid gifts. She immediately apologized to her fans, expressing regret and even telling them they didn't have to vote if they felt uncomfortable with the system. This raised even more eyebrows, with fans questioning just how much of the competition was really about talent and how much was influenced by who could afford to spend more money. It also brought attention to the overall low-budget feel of the show, which failed to give viewers the impression of an authentic, high-quality survival show. As a viewer put it best, cheap sets, cheap filming and streaming, no judges, hosts begging for TikTok gifts, the list goes on. They even described it as feeling more like a mockery of a survival show than a serious platform for launching talented and capable idols. In addition to all the obvious issues, the contestants also failed to leave a positive impression on netizens. As mentioned, fans were especially thrilled at the idea of Leah's return to the spotlight, as they had long hoped for her to debut again. However, public opinion quickly shifted after the show premiered. Despite Leah's prior experience as an idol and trainee, she found herself among the most criticized contestants, with many feeling she appeared unprepared for the show. Clips of her and another contestant named Cleo performing ITZY's Untouchable went viral across social media for all the wrong reasons. Netizens quickly pointed out how Leah seemed to struggle with the choreography as she forgot most of the dance moves. While she is primarily known for her singing talent, even her vocal performances left much to be desired. Some still believe there may be potential for her to improve, but as more unflattering clips of her circulated, many fans went as far as to openly admit they now regret ever wishing for her to debut again. However, when it comes to the title of the most disliked contestant, there's no doubt that Kelly Kim takes the crown. Born in 1998, Kelly first rose to fame as an influencer and has since gathered a whopping 5.9 million followers on TikTok. However, as the show progressed and the rankings were revealed, the viewers grew more and more dissatisfied. That was because of Kelly Kim's consistent presence at the top of the ranks despite her lackluster performance and exaggerated expressions, making her a target of widespread criticism. Furthermore, Kelly Kim appeared to be signed under the same company responsible for producing the show, PI Corporation, as listed with her professional affiliations on her Instagram profile. This connection between Kelly's agency and the show's funding raised suspicions that she may have been receiving an advantage. The show's much-awaited finale aired on November 22nd, which was also when things truly took a dramatic turn. During the episode, the group's official name was revealed to be I Met You, and the final 5 members were announced. Lea Navab Hwayoung claimed the 5th spot, with Indonesian contestants Cleo, Lu Yuting from China, and South Korean Sim Ye-rin filling the remaining positions. However, everyone was truly shell-shocked when it was announced that not only was Kelly Kim going to debut, but she also came in first place. This sparked major criticism, even from those who hadn't followed the show closely. In survival shows, it's common for fans to debate rankings, but it's definitely rare for the number 1 pick to be someone viewers believe doesn't deserve a spot in the group at all. Because of this, fans of Time Turner took to social media to express their frustration with Kelly Kim and the show, sharing clips of what they described as her poor performances to prove that she didn't deserve to be a member. They also labeled her as a dozen, which is a slang term used to imply that Kelly neither sings nor dances well and that she was unqualified as an idol in general. From accusations of pretty privilege to claims of favoritism, Kelly is still receiving backlash even though Time Turner has long ended. While some fans continue to support her, many are still unconvinced about her abilities, questioning whether the final lineup truly showcases the most talented individuals. One comment pointed out that at least 4 out of 5 are good. Kelly Kim would have to do a complete 180 transformation and be the hardest worker I've ever seen for me to change my mind about her. In contrast, the majority of viewers congratulated Sim Ye-rin, who had been initially eliminated from Time Turner but earned her way back into the competition after winning the comeback round. Regardless of how the situation unfolds, the backlash surrounding the show's voting system and the final rankings has certainly made an impact. Now all eyes are on the group's upcoming debut, which is scheduled for the first half of 2025, with fans eagerly waiting to see how Kelly and the others will perform on the stage. And when the spotlight fades, many idols are left with nothing, sometimes because of those same scams that once promised them everything. Idols might look like they're living their best life, but actually many struggle with money problems. Irresponsible investments, tax issues, legal troubles, and scandals can make even the richest people poor, as several idols have found out. Tiger JK is a legend in the industry, which is why you wouldn't think that he's the type to fall victim to scams. However, that's exactly what happened. In 2013, Tiger JK decided to start a label called Feel Good Music along with his former managers. However, despite having good intentions and strong bonds with the artists, things didn't go as planned, as the managers he initially trusted to build the company with him ended up betraying him. When Feel Good Music was first established, both Tiger JK and his wife, Yoonmi Rae, left these managers to handle the business side of things, while the couple took charge of all the promotions, including albums, concerts, variety shows, and ads. After all their dedication and hard work, the two were shocked to hear that they weren't earning any profit. Instead, they were told they were still in debt and needed to push a little harder to get out of trouble. In addition to that, even though the couple was booked and busy all the time, the managers made them believe that it was because of their lobbying, not because of their success. Despite the suspicious circumstances, Tiger JK never doubted the people he considered his friends and instead convinced himself that the hip-hop scene scene just wasn't as profitable as he originally thought. He also blamed himself, believing that he wasn't attractive enough to attract attention, so instead he started working extra hard. Even with all their efforts though, the couple still faced tough times. Back then, Tiger JK appeared on various TV shows and talked about how he dreamed of buying a house of his own someday. These words were taken as a joke by the audience and the hosts because they believed that the two were very wealthy. In reality, they were struggling just to cover rent and basic needs. At one point, they even came close to being thrown out of their house for missing rent payments and were even left homeless for some time. So Tiger JK had no choice but to plead with the managers to give him a monthly salary of $1,400 instead of giving him a percentage of his products, but he was refused with the excuse that they weren't earning that much. This was at the peak of his popularity, and the couple had even done 3 ads back to back, so he started getting suspicious about the intentions of the managers. One night, he decided to check things out at the office and found out the two had been deceived and cheated out of millions of dollars. Not only had they earned $470,000 from the 3 ads alone, but they also were not in debt as they were made to believe. On the same computer, the managers had even put together a list of lies they would feed to Tiger JK and Yoon Mi-rae. They left behind clear evidence of their schemes to exploit the couple for money, destroy their reputation, and then disappear with the money. In total, the managers had gotten $4.7 million out of them, while the couple hadn't gotten anything. The worst part of it all was that legally they couldn't do anything about it. Just as they were preparing for a lawsuit, Tiger JK's father got diagnosed with a terminal illness and sadly ended up passing away. Seeing how Tiger JK was overwhelmed with the situation, the managers took advantage of it and sold feel-good music to a fund company. They also destroyed much of the evidence, making it impossible for the situation to be handled through legal means. But even after they lost millions of dollars, both Tiger JK and Yoon Mi-rae have a positive outlook on life, saying they were glad that they weren't associating with the managers anymore and that they discovered the truth. A certain demographic of idols who have also lost a ton of money are those who were involved in almost career-ruining scandals like disgraced idol Seungri. He is on the list of idols who were financially affected by their crimes, but he was sort of struggling before the scandal was revealed. Back in 2016, he lost 2 billion won after filing a lawsuit against a singer named Shin Yoon-sung. To let you know the backstory, Seungri invested 2 billion won in a real estate company in June 2014. A month later, he put in an additional 50 million won when Yoon-sung told him that more funds were needed for building an investment corporation. Eventually, he didn't hear back about the projects or get his money, so he decided to sue Yoon-sung without consulting YG Entertainment. YG then confirmed that Seungri would handle the case on his own. A representative from the company said that this was Seungri's personal matter, but that they would also take action and thoroughly investigate to reveal the true details of the situation. A few years later, the Burning Sun was revealed and he went to jail for 18 months, making people wonder how he was going to survive after getting out. He was out of Big Bang and the Burning Sun Club and all his ventures were closed, so what was left for him? Well, at first it was reported that he was trying to open a club in Hong Kong, but Seungri denied this, saying, "Does it make any sense for me to be involved in clubs again? I've never planned it, nor have I mentioned it to anyone." It's still not known what Seungri is doing to earn money, but we definitely know that he's getting them from somewhere. He's traveling and going clubbing as if nothing had happened, so the source of his income remains a mystery. Similarly to Seungri, Park Yoo-chun found himself in a lot of financial trouble after his scandals. Yoo-chun was quite famous in Korea, first as a member of TVXQ, then JYJ, and later as a solo artist. He also tried his hand at acting, gaining fans in both the music and television industry. However, his popularity came crashing down in 2016 and 2017 when Yoo-chun was hit with serious accusations from 4 women claiming non-consensual activities. Even though he was ultimately cleared of the charges, he had to pay compensation to one of his accusers. Unfortunately for him, his troubles didn't end there. In 2019, he faced suspicion of using illegal substances and trying to cover it up by shaving his body hair, but his attempts were unsuccessful. He was found guilty, sentenced to 10 months in prison, and fined 1.4 million Korean won. At first, he was unofficially banned from music shows, but later he was officially banned by broadcasting agencies in the South Korean entertainment scene. This meant he couldn't make any money from singing or acting, which were his main sources of income. In addition to that, Yoo-chun faced further legal troubles that hurt his bank account even more. For some background information, in 2020, Yoo-chun signed with a company called Richilo, which then gave exclusive management rights to Have Fun Together starting January 2020. This contract was meant to last until 2024. However, in May 2021, Yoo-chun decided to terminate the contract unexpectedly and began working with a new agency. In response, Have Fun Together sought a court injunction in August 2021 to stop him from appearing on broadcasts or participating in entertainment activities. The court granted this injunction, but Yoo-chun continued his work overseas. As a result, Have Fun Together filed a lawsuit against Yoo-chun, Richello, and the new agency, demanding 500 million won in damages. After reviewing financial records, the court confirmed that the fee had been paid on time and ruled that Yoo-chun had breached the court's decision of not promoting, ordering him to pay 500 million won to the company. Additionally, Yoo-chun was accused of evading 409 million won in taxes, including capital gains taxes. In an effort to win back some of the glory and money, Yoo-chun tried a few unconventional methods, including trying to court a rich Thai woman. Rumors suggested that Yoo-chun was using his ex-girlfriend's wealth and influence to make a comeback in the entertainment world. He was officially promoting her new skincare brand, and there were whispers that he planned to relocate there after their marriage, but the plans fell through as it was reported that the two had broken up. Then it was announced that Yoo-chun would celebrate his 20th debut anniversary with a fan meeting and dinner show in Tokyo, Japan. While some people were fine with Yoo-chun hosting a fan event, especially since other controversial celebrities had continued their careers abroad, many were upset about the steep ticket prices. The fan meeting cost around $160, and the dinner show tickets were nearly $350. Despite the controversies, it's strange to see a high-profile idol having to hold pricey fan meetings just to recover from financial losses due to his alleged crimes. Lastly, let's discuss Kris Wu. In 2021, 19-year-old Do Meiju accused Kris Wu of hurting her when she was 17. Her claims led to a widespread public and brand boycott against him, and 3 other victims came forward with similar accusations. Despite Kris Wu's appeals and his fans' attempts to discredit Do Meiju, the court in Beijing's Hwayoung district sentenced him to 11 years and 6 months in prison. He received an additional year and 10 months for organizing inappropriate activities. After completing his 13-year sentence, Kris Wu will be deported to Canada as he's permanently banned from China. In addition to this, China's State Taxation Administration revealed that Kris Wu avoided paying around 23.7 million US dollars in taxes. As a result, he also faced a fine of 83.7 million US dollars. Before 2021, he was one of the wealthiest idols, had a successful career, and even collected luxurious cars. But it seems that things have changed after his conviction. In July, it was discovered that Kris Wu's mother was trying to sell his Brabus G800 online to make some extra money. The car, which originally cost him $490,000 and now retails for about $530,000, was listed by her for $825,000. It seems like money might be tight for the family, so don't be surprised if you see a listing for one of his other cars next, or maybe even his house. And in the end, no list of K-pop scandals would be complete without one of the most infamous lies that changed everything: Hwayoung and the downfall of T-Ara. T-Ara were at the peak of their career when a scandal, from which they suffered the consequences for years, broke out in 2012. The members were suddenly under fire for their alleged terrible behavior towards Hwayoung. Netizens first brought up the evidence when T-Ara held their concert in Japan. Their Japanese fans were excited to see the girls perform on stage, but had to accept the fact that Hwayoung would only perform one song with the group as she was suffering an injury at that time. According to many reports, Hwayoung twisted her ankle when rushing to the dressing room after their performance at Music Core on July 23rd of 2012. After the girls returned to Seoul, Hwayoung visited the hospital to treat her injury. A day later, on the 24th of July, the girls traveled to Japan and Hwayoung appeared with a cast on while she was sitting in a wheelchair. A few days after the concert in Japan, Hyomin took to her Twitter account to share her thoughts seemingly directed at Hwayoung's injury. Hyomin tweeted, "There are differences in levels of determination. Let us have more determination." Zion then responded to Hyomin's tweet and wrote, "The differences in level of determination. Always be humble and sensible. I applaud you, acting genius." It was this series of tweets that prompted netizens to speculate that Hwayoung was being ridiculed by the other members. Hwayoung's twin sister, Hyoyoung, added fuel to the fire by tweeting, "Even determination alone is not enough," followed by another tweet that said, "God, you know everything, right?" Hyoyoung tweeted not long after that again saying, "My other half is going through troubles," to which Hwayoung replied, "I only have you." Their fans caught up on the situation, and being so sure that something bad was going on between the members of the group, they started to boycott T-Ara, going as far as destroying their merch and cutting up their albums. At that time, there were tons of speculations about the scandal, and T-Ara's fans went back in time to analyze any content that was posted to look for any signs of the girls mistreating Hwayoung. Some of the evidence included Dion ignoring Hwayoung when she went on to high-five the other members when the girls appeared on a Japanese variety show. Then many people had an issue with a picture Jiyeon previously tweeted. She took a picture picture of a Lego dog that stood in front of a bowl with an acorn that was given to her by Dion. Korean people view an acorn in a dog's bowl as something related to being an outcast. Another instance when people thought the members were mocking Hwayoung was when Jiyeon posted a selfie on her Instagram after she won an online popularity poll among all of the members. Jiyeon captioned the selfie, "I won first place in a popularity poll, so I'm sharing this picture. Oh, and Hwayoung got 0 votes. Haha, our poor Hwayoung." There was also an incident when Jiyeon allegedly made fun of Hwayoung again. The girls appeared on the show Star Life Theater, and there was a moment when all of the members were together in a car. Hwayoung decided to read a book, and the producer of the show commented that Hwayoung seems to enjoy reading a lot. Before Hwayoung could respond, Jiyeon commented, "It's because of the camera. Wow, you're really funny. I've never seen Hwayoung read a book while being in the same group." The list of the so-called evidence is a long one, but some of those instances call for a question if it was truly as serious as some people made it out to be. On July 30th of 2012, it was announced that Hwayoung would be leaving the group and the agency altogether. These incidents are unacceptable in South Korea, so at that time, T-Ara members were really going through extremely hard times. Their careers suffered tremendously, and it took a while for the general public to warm up to the group again. At that time, no one knew that a big storm was coming and that Hwayoung would end up being the villain in the whole story. In 2015, things took a huge turn when a post stating that Hwayoung was never treated horribly by the members went viral. In the post, the original poster brought back the infamous picture of Hwayoung walking through the airport while she was holding onto 2 men for support. The picture was taken after Hwayoung supposedly injured her ankle. However, the poster shared that prior to that picture being taken, Hwayoung was walking just fine and she didn't need any support. During T-Ara's time in Japan for their concert, it was reported that Hwayoung would be staying at a hotel because her leg hurt and she needed some rest. Instead, Hwayoung allegedly visited a nail studio instead. The post also mentioned that Dion once performed at a music show and attended a concert with a broken nose, only taking a day off for her surgery. The original poster also provided different things people from the industry personnel said about Hwayoung. One of them shared, "Hwayoung started getting a celebrity disease after she settled in with the group. She was cocky about being a celebrity and a T-Ara member. The original members weren't like that." This news sent a wave of sympathy towards the group as netizens started to realize that maybe Hwayoung was the bad guy. No shocking news came out until Hwayoung and her sister Hwayoung appeared on the talk show Taxi in 2017, which is when the real truth started to come out. In the show, Hwayoung opened up about the scandal from 2012. Hwayoung shared, "It's a shame. Thinking about it now, it's something that can definitely happen between girls. Looking back, we were still young and inexperienced. I wasn't an adult either." After Hwayoung brought up the scandal again, it prompted people to look back on it and investigate it further. Quickly after the Taxi episode aired, a former staff member that worked with T-Ara came forward and claimed that Hwayoung and Hwayoung were lying about the entire incident. T-Ara's former manager also came forward and confirmed that the 2 sisters weren't being honest about what truly happened. The former staff member also included some text messages from Hwayoung to Ahreum. Hwayoung would text Ahreum things such as, "Ahreum, you have to be thankful and say thank you when you're being taken care of. If you don't want to get beaten up, act right. And dogs only listen when they take a beating." In those messages, Hwayoung also threatened to scratch Ahreum's face so that she couldn't appear on TV. This incident was confirmed to be true when Hwayoung's agency released a statement that said, "Hwayoung was very young back then, and seeing Hwayoung suffer from the incident made her step in because they're family. She became emotional because she was seeing her little sister suffer so much. There was no other reason for sending the messages." The staff member also included more details about Hwayoung's non-existent injury. According to them, Hwayoung visited the hospital after she twisted her ankle on her way back to the dressing room. Even though she was told that there was nothing wrong, she insisted on wearing a cast which she would only take off during transport. After Hwayoung arrived at the airport, she knew there would be reporters, which seems like the reason why she asked for a wheelchair. Hwayoung demanded to continue using the wheelchair even after she went to the hospital in Japan, where she was told that there was nothing wrong with her ankle. The staff member said, "Hwayoung always demanded that she be allowed to take care of personal tasks and did not work hard at all." As time went by, more and more people came forward to share their experiences of working with Hwayoung. Gi-moo-ri, T-Ara's former stylist, shared his side of the story on Pungmoon Show. The former stylist explained that he didn't know what was going on in T-Ara's dorms, but he did know that the relationship between the members had been going downhill. According to Uri, Hwayoung had a hard time fitting in because she was the newest addition to the team. He described her attitude as rude and ill-mannered, and Hwayoung was said to be especially rude towards staff. Uri recalled how Hwayoung would often call the stylist shampoo instead of calling them their names just because they were people who did her hair. Hwayoung also disrespected the older stylist by not using proper honorifics, titles, and never used their names. Hwayoung actually responded by posting a few screenshots from the show and captioned it, "Mr. Gi-moo-ri, I know you're close with Hyomin, but don't make up stories." Uri opening up about the past incidents prompted more people to reveal Hwayoung's bad behavior. One of the 2 former T-Ara stylists shared, "She expressed her dissatisfaction and complaints right in front of me. She would say things like, 'You can't style ponytail hair at all. If I made a mistake while doing her makeup, she would say, "You can't even draw a line?" The second stylist added, "Hwayoung would embarrass us in front of others. The staff simply could not find a reason to like her. She wasn't feeling bad about it either. It was as if her style was to target specific people and make them feel insulted." At that point, Hwayoung got into a serious conflict with the public and even threatened the people who left malicious comments on her Instagram. The post has unfortunately been deleted, but Hwayoung wrote, "Maybe you'll be happy when we're pulling each other's hair out and this turns into a mud fight. Everyone leaving malicious comments, you should watch yourselves first." Everything that came out about Hwayoung was a huge shock to a lot of people. T-Ara's fans couldn't believe that the group had to suffer so much only because of Hwayoung's decision to lie to gain herself some sympathy points and because of her rude and disrespectful attitude. In 2018, Ahreum decided to talk about the scandal when she competed on the survival reality show idol rebooting project The Unit. Ahreum said, "I don't think T-Ara members are at fault. All groups face conflict. It's normal, but the world targeted us and called us out as villains. The members should have communicated more, but we didn't do that. We were too careful." According to Ahreum, the members were all very close and they used to get along well. If they did have an argument, it wasn't very serious, and it was more like bickering between family members. Ahreum added that at the time of the scandal, they were all too young to know how to handle the situation better and how to react properly. Ahreum also revealed that Hwayoung apologized to her personally for sending her threatening texts, and that Hwayoung was very upset with her sister after she found out what messages Hwayoung sent to Ahreum. Ahreum said, "I think my short time as a T-Ara member taught me a lot of things, but of course, sometimes I think if I hadn't joined the team, I wouldn't have gotten so hurt." T-Ara's scandal was definitely the biggest in K-pop at that time, and because of how badly it affected their career, T-Ara never reached that peak ever again, all because of a handful of lies. Subscribe to stay updated on more shocking and interesting K-pop stories. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you for watching.